Well, the Golden State Warriors are officially in Japan, but the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, Kevin Danna, is right here with me. We're going to break down some of the lesser known players. I'm going to pick your brain, Kevin. I want to know Santos is officially staying. What does that mean? Who's the starting lineup for the Santa Cruz Warriors? Is Patrick Baldwin Jr. going to get some actual playing time with the Golden State Warriors? That's a big dude, by the way, man. I'm certainly a lot more excited about him. There's a lot to talk about. And I'm so excited Kevin is back. That means the season's around the corner. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts, literally, and we're also available on YouTube. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRocho. Great to see you, my man. How are you doing, Kevin? How's the offseason been for you, brother?
Yeah, doing swell, man. It hasn't been much of an off season in September, man. I've been doing every sport under the sun. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of soccer, volleyball, water polo, field hockey, high school football. September kept me busy, and October should be a little bit lighter, but then, of course, the NBA season's starting. So, it'll be good to get some shooty hoop going back up again.
Hell yeah, man. And by the way, happy to announce that you and the Saint, former Golden State Warriors general manager Gary St. Jean, are going to be hosting a weekly segment like you started doing last year for the Warriors flagship station, 95.7 The Game. Tell the audience how people can catch that each week, because I love St. Jean. I want him back on this show soon. But you guys are doing this every week. Give us the details.
Yeah, so the Saint and I, it was funny, I was at the NBA broadcast meetings last week with RC Davis, Clint Azubuike of the Golden State Warriors, and RC is just like, "Hey, you want to do it again?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then the next day they came out with a press release saying I was back, and I didn't know about the press release until Rich of Let's Go Warriors DM me. He's like, "Hey, congrats on coming back." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait, how did you know?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a release about it." I was like, "Oh, tight." Nice. So, the Saint and I are back. My second year hosting Warriors Roundtable. We'll be doing it live 6 to 7 p.m. on either a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday during the regular season on 95.7 The Game. And the reason it's not the same day every week, because the NBA schedule. Sometimes they play on Tuesday, right. Sometimes they play on Wednesday, sometimes they play on Thursday. And I also got my Santa Cruz Warriors schedule. And some other basketball games that I do at the collegiate level, Stanford women, Santa Clara women. And so I will be able to do most weeks. I think there are 2 weeks I can't do because of Santa Cruz and some other, and Thanksgiving week. There's one Thursday taken away, and the Warriors play Monday, Wednesday, and Santa Cruz plays Tuesday or something like that. So we won't be doing that week. But I won't. Tim Roy will be filling in for me when I can't do it. That sounds weird to say it like that. Tim Roy.
It does. A little bit.
So yeah, happy to be back. 6 to 7 p.m. Day changes each week.
And again, just follow Kevo408. That's your Twitter account. I'm sure they'll be publishing that information each week to find out when people can catch you and Gary St. Jean live on 95.7 The Game. Dude, I missed you at Media Day. I'm guessing you had a valid reason for not attending. What I took out of that more than anything else was seeing a couple of new additions up close and in person. I mean, I had fun talking to a lot of players and coaches, but and other media members, but seeing JaMychal Green in person made me immediately realize this guy can play the stretch five. I have no doubt in my mind. That is a large, strong human being. And then Patrick Baldwin Jr., they're not being kind when they list his height. That's a legit 6'9". Give us your thoughts on Patrick Baldwin Jr. so far. You've done a lot of research on him. I know he surprised everyone when the Warriors drafted him. I don't think anyone outside of the organization expected them to draft Patrick Baldwin Jr., but with his size and his potential shooting, I see the appeal. Your thoughts on Patrick Baldwin Jr. and what should people expect from him this year, in your opinion, in terms of playing time? Are we going to see him mostly in Santa Cruz? Do you think he's going to actually contribute to the Golden State Warriors? Your thoughts?
Yeah, so to answer your to kind of contradict your first conjecture you made, I did not have a legit reason to not be at media day. I had a Santa Clara men's soccer broadcast Saturday night the night before. I had high school football broadcast Friday night and went to brunch with my parents and my aunt and uncle. So that's why I wasn't there.
That's a valid
on
reason.
Sunday.
That's a good reason.
So
That's a good reason.
yeah, but like so to Patrick Baldwin, here's a guy who had lottery talent, but was coming off an injured season in which he did not perform well. His shooting numbers were pretty bad at Milwaukee. Of course, he was kind of playing through an injury that year. But yeah, I mean, I stood next to him at the draft press conference we had, June 24th or whatever that was, 3 months ago now. And I mean, yeah, he's a big dude, that's for sure. He's got a silky smooth stroke. So the percentages weren't good. I think he was 26, 27% from three at Milwaukee. But you look at his highlights, you see him actually shoot the ball. I mean, there's nothing to complain about with the release
beautiful.
Or anything.
It's
and beautiful. It was a small enough sample size to his first 3 games, he was really good at Milwaukee. And then he got hurt in that 4th game. And then the percentages, the averages just took a nosedive. And so, that's you'd have to believe is what led to the dip in numbers and efficiency.
Well, and just to interrupt you real quick, I also heard a point made that was very valid, which is that he was playing for a team that wasn't very good. So the other team's strategy routinely was guard him, worry about the other guys later, or as a secondary notion. So he was getting a lot of attention from other teams' defenses, and that might have also attributed to his poor shooting numbers. I don't know if that.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many 5-star freshmen are in the Horizon League, right? Patrick Baldwin Jr. and Patrick Baldwin Jr. I mean, if it's a 5-star guy, it's probably someone who didn't get any time at Kentucky, and they're like, oh, hey, I'm from Chicago, I'll play at Illinois, Chicago, or something like that, right? So. It's usually people who would be transferring in, but and even then that would be a rare situation. There's probably a few other leagues that are in between the SEC and the Horizon League that you could go to at a lower level to get more time, that are higher level of competition.
Right.
The Horizon League, and they've kind of taken some hits with teams leaving that conference over the years that have been really good, like Loyola Chicago for one. But yeah, so that, I mean, Patrick Baldwin Jr., with respect to his playing time this year, I think Steve Kerr said at a media day, he's not going to have a lot of it at Golden State. Golden State is 11 deep and very strong with those front 11 before you get to the rookies. So, as soon as Patrick Baldwin Jr. is good to go, which I mean, it sounds like he's there right now from what I took away from reading media day transcripts. Or if not very close, then he's going to be spending a lot of time in Santa Cruz. He'll be part of that C-Dubs starting 5 with the Ryan Rollins, I figure, on a good bunch of nights, Glaceo Santos and others.
Absolutely. Well, in just a moment, I want to pick your brain on who the Santa Cruz Warriors starting 5 is going to be. In your opinion, who do you think the two-way players are going to be? There's a bit of a debate online regarding Mac McClung and what his future is going to hold. He's not a big guy, by the way. I don't know if you've. No. I mean, you've seen him in person. He's barely taller than us. It's fascinating how athletic he is. But I'm very curious to know how you feel about who's going to be playing for the Santa Cruz Warriors versus the Golden State Warriors. But first, I got to give some love to a longtime sponsor of this program, and that's BetOnline. I mean, I've been saying their name every week because they're sponsoring literally every day of this show. And BetOnline.net, more specifically, is your number one source for all your information regarding football betting and all sports betting. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events. Major League Baseball playoffs are just around the corner. You got MMA, boxing, golf, of course, the NFL. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, it's where the game starts.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
For making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet, literally. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. So is Kevin Danna on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter at Kevo408. Let's talk about Mac McClung for a second, man. What do you see out of him? Like, is he going to actually be playing for the Warriors this year? Again, he's not a big dude. I mean, he's 6'2", but when I saw him in person, I saw like girth, man. I saw mass. He's very athletic. He's got huge legs, which explains his jumping abilities. But what do you think his role is going to be for the Warriors? Like, is he going to even be on the G League team if he doesn't make if he doesn't get a two-way contract? What are your thoughts on Mac?
Well, first off, let's talk about that banner you have for BetOnline, right? That's new for this year, right?
That is new. That is new right there for the YouTube viewers. We got a nice little banner now. So, love back.
Mac McClung. I like this guy a lot. I like him as a G League player a ton. I think he is kind of right now at this stage in his career, I think he tops out as a two-way guy. I'm not sure he's a 15-man guy, but he's worthy of a two-way, if not with Golden State, with somewhere. I can't remember, like, there are trades that would need to happen for Santa Cruz to have as just pure G League rights if they don't put him on a two-way, because the South Bay Lakers would own his G League rights from last year, and then he got called up. I believe they put him on a two-way. Maybe it was a remainder of year deal because he played the last regular season game with them. Had like this reverse dunk in their win over Denver before Frank Vogel got fired. Like during the game, I think the news broke on Twitter. So while Frank Vogel was getting fired, Mac McClung was putting down reverse dunks to avoid a 50-loss season for the LA Lakers. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how those two ways are very flexible. And so it'll be interesting to see if he ends up on a two-way with Golden State. If Golden State wants his G League rights, there's some trade I think that would need to happen. Unless that trade has already happened, I don't think it has yet. But like those things, like these teams like do that all the time. Like it's not a big hindrance, right? Like if you want someone, like if you want to give someone Exhibit 10, basically, like you can't like keep, like the team who has their G League rights isn't going to keep $50,000 out of that person's pocket. So like they'll do him a solid, probably like a first round pick, and maybe like returning rights to someone who's going to play this year in Europe or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what like a deal like that would look like on the G League level if they aren't going to give him a two-way and just want him in the G League, which I mean, if Mac McClung would agree to that, I'd be very happy. Or a two-way. Like I think he is definitely worthy of being, a 16th or 17th man on someone's roster. Like the guy is explosive as hell, as you mentioned, Cyrus. And he's ripped. Like he's strong. You mentioned it. Like his biceps are defined. The guy is strong. He's athletic. He can jump out the gym. And he's a winner. He like put Santa Cruz to sleep a couple of times last year. He had like, I think he had 30 plus twice against the C-Dubs, and once in the playoff game where he just like cooked them, and then once in Santa Cruz in the regular season, like he just made play after play down the stretch, and he's such a fun player to watch. And so, selfishly, I would love to see him in a Santa Cruz Warriors uniform of some sort this year, be it two-way or Exhibit 10.
Oh man, yeah, I'm curious to see that for sure. There's a news brief posted yesterday about Glaceo Santos that he's going to be spending next year in the G League playing for the Santa Cruz Warriors. That really wasn't determined because I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think he has a contract with the Brazilian pro team that he was previously playing for. But he's going to be playing for Santa Cruz. Do you see anything long term with him? Is he part of the plan? Like what do you see with Glaceo Santos? What's the value there?
Well, going into it, it's like, there were reports that the Warriors were trying to trade that 55th pick and get out of the draft. They couldn't trade the pick, or how the story goes. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how it went. They picked Guy because one reason, Leandro Barbosa played with him. Another reason, Darrington Hobson, who played for the Santa Cruz Warriors for parts of 3 seasons, was his teammate and is very close with Anthony Vereen, who just got a promotion to Golden State, was an assistant with Santa Cruz last year, gave them a scouting report on Glaceo Santos as well, gave them rave reviews of Guy Santos. And so I think with kind of the influence of those two guys and maybe some others who saw him in person, they took Guy. And I was like, all right, this is a guy who's probably going to get stashed back in Brazil or somewhere. Then I saw him in Summer League. I'm like, this guy's a G League player, like at least. I mean, he's big. He's long. I think he's 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan or something like that. So I think he has a +6 wingspan, and he's got a flair for the game, man. I mean, it's like almost. I mean, Brazilians love their soccer, right? And they have that. They love playing with that flair, that panache, and he's got that panache, and he takes it to the hardwood. And I mean, doing behind the back passes. He scored like 23 in his first summer league game, 23 and 6 rebounds.
Correct.
And so, like, I went from thinking, all right, yeah, I'm not sure if we're ever going to see him again. Kind of like Justinian Jessup, you bring him for summer league, and maybe that's all you see of him.
Right.
I went from thinking like that to, I want him in Santa Cruz. I want him to be I want him to be stashed in the G League. And when I read that report, again, I don't think that's been officially like mentioned by Golden State, but
hasn't yet. No.
If he does indeed play this year with Santa Cruz as a stashie, that would be a huge home run, because then essentially you're having 3 draft picks play for you.
Right.
This year in the G League, which, I mean, some teams do that. Like the Oklahoma City Blue have done that a lot recently with their first round picks. We're going to see a lot of Jalen Williams, I think, with the Oklahoma City Blue. We saw it a lot last year with their draft picks, and going on throughout the years, even before they were kind of resetting things. But Guy Santos is at the very least a G League player. By the time he's 25, I would not be shocked if he's a 10th to 12th man somewhere.
He's a big dude, man.
Yeah,
he's like physically, he's like Mac McClung, but 5 inches taller. As weird as that sounds. But yeah, that's what I see with him. The Warriors are in Japan. Do you know what the schedule is and how to watch it? Like, do you know when these games are tipping off and what channel it's going to be on?
Yeah. One is like 3 a.m. I think Friday game is 3 a.m. You can listen to it on 95.7 if you want to get up at 3 a.m. because Tim Roy and RC Davis are out there. Hold on.
Are you saying 3 a.m. like technically Friday morning?
Like Friday
like
morning, 3 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Warriors preseason announced preseason schedule. Hold on, I'm pulling up the email. Yeah, and then the second game would be technically for us, so it'd be Sunday there, Saturday night here, 10 p.m. So Saitama Super Arena, if you guys remember, was the arena which was the site of basketball competition for the Tokyo Olympics in the summer of 2021. That is still, I think, officially referred to as the 2020 Olympics in 2021, kind of like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim or whatever. So I'm pretty sure those games are televised. Like, hold on.
Yeah,
I want to say ESPN, but I think
NBA TV is going to have the broadcast, but I was struggling with finding that information. But anyway, I'm there's, if you go to social media,
NBA TV for the September 30th game, and NBA TV 10 p.m. Yeah, NBA TV for both games. Yep,
gotcha. There you go. Okay, I'm excited to watch
and
that.
95.7.
And 95.7 if you want to listen to it. And NBA TV, man, I hope they're someday available on all platforms because they are not the easiest channel to find. But if you're an NBA junkie like you and I are, man, that is such just must-watch TV. Today's going to be a short show. I'll be frank. I got tummy issues. I got to run. But I want to show this real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this video right here. This is from the Atlanta Hawks social media channel. And what the Atlanta Hawks did on Media Day is they took Polaroid pictures of their players and then had them write on the Polaroid what their goals were for the season, right? So you see these pictures. DeJounte Murray writes win championship. Trey writes championship. But if you look at Clint Capella's, and again, they showed 5 pictures in this photo. Like there's championship float celebration on Peachtree, whatever that means. Someone else writes win. Clint Capella writes team all defense, and then ECF, which means Eastern Conference Finals. Now, those are the most modest goals you could possibly imagine when we're talking about just what do you want. But then Bobby Marks of ESPN pointed out, and this was actually very astute of him, that if Clint Capella achieves those 2 goals, he could earn $1 million in bonuses on his contract. So his mind was all about the money, whereas a lot of those other players were about the team goal.
Well,
Any final? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I think that's a lot more realistic than winning a championship for the Atlanta Hawks, right? Like
that's fair.
the Atlanta Hawks have been to the Eastern Conference Finals twice since moving from St. Louis, and they've actually happened both in the last 10 years, in 2016 and 2021. But I mean, when you're looking at Milwaukee, you're looking at Boston, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, now that they're all healthy and Kevin Durant's not getting traded and Kyrie Irving's going to be able to play every game and Ben Simmons is going to play. Like those 4 alone. And then, if Lonzo Ball ever gets healthy, Chicago, I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the East. And so, Toronto, forgot to mention them. So, Cleveland's been playing is going to be a problem this year. Now they got Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
So like I mean, Eastern Conference Finals is a very lofty goal for the Atlanta Hawks. I think you can get to the second round. I think we call it a really good season for the ATLians.
Yeah, I was just laughing at that. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo4Way. When can we hear you next? What are you calling? That's coming up.
Oh, hey, Pac-12 Networks, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Set your DVRs for the big Classico, Stanford and Cal men's soccer. Myself and former U.S. World Cupper Christopher Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, on the call. It should be a good one. A couple of very good teams. Stanford was last week ranked tied for 5th in the country. And then I've got to check the poll for this week. Just came out yesterday. So before I complete my charts, I'll update that ranking for you. And Cal's been playing very well as of late. They've won 3 of their last 4 matches. They got a first-year head coach in Leonard Griffin. But Stanford's been the standard. They won 3 straight national championships recently and went to a 4th College Cup in 2019. So this will be a good one. Conference clash, Bay Area derby. Tune in.
Love it. And Kevin Danna joins me every Wednesday. Dude, great to see you again, brother. It's been too long. We'll see you again soon. And thank you, everyone. Yeah. Peace out. Thanks.